Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Garrett Smith, known around these new YouTube parts as the Nutrition Detective. My website is nutritiondetective.com. And if you're interested in the Love Your Liver program, which people rave about, and that's my do-it-yourself approach program for people, that is at members.nutritiondetective.com. Oh, thanks, Will. Will's telling me the mic is good. So I think I finally got the mic set up right. Here, let me turn this just a little bit. Okay. So, a couple things I wanted to go over. First, in the Love Your Liver program this last weekend, I finally put in the charcoal article series that I'd been saving it's been in the Advanced Detox program. So the Advanced Detox program is another part inside the Love Your Liver network. But anyway, had about a 13-part charcoal series going over things like how charcoal is an amazing bile binder, both in the stomach and both through the skin. You go to charcoalremedies.com, you can look at all the ways that charcoal has been used to help people. And what is it doing? It absorbs toxins very well. Did you know that charcoal is very good at absorbing copper? For all those copper pushers out there, charcoal is also very good at absorbing vitamin A and toxic bile. Weird. So anyway, wanted to go into charcoal just a little bit because I went over charcoal poultices too, because charcoal poultices can basically just soak up toxic bile through the capillaries, the tiniest blood vessels that go up by your skin. Charcoal absorbs it, it holds on to it. Let me go over one myth about charcoal. There is one study out there where they took charcoal and they mixed it with apple juice. It soaked up a couple things. It made the apple juice clearer. So it absorbed polyphenols, which are toxic. We've talked about that before. Soaked up a little bit of the vitamin C, an acid. Soaked up a little bit of the B6, which is an alcohol and an aldehyde. Soaked up a little bit of a couple of B vitamins. And based on this study, the powers that be out in the nutrition world decided that this was enough to demonize charcoal as it's going to cause nutrient deficiencies, massive nutrient deficiencies. And if you go in the research and you look for case studies and you look for actual other research on this being a real thing, it's never happened. No one has ever gotten any sort of nutrient deficiency from charcoal. There are studies on people who had colostomies, right? So they've had part of their digestive system removed. So if anything, they should be terrible at absorbing nutrients, right? They're missing part of their absorption tract. And they were taking charcoal 3 times a day internally so that their colostomy bag, so that the bag of their own, waste that they carry around with them wouldn't smell as bad. Okay? People with missing part of their intestine and taking charcoal like 3 times a day, did they get nutrient deficiencies? Not in years of taking charcoal. If I'm here telling you that there's an organized plot to make you more toxic, does it make sense that they demonize charcoal? Makes sense to me. You know that animals, monkeys and other animals, will eat charcoal left over from fires? What do they know about it? On this note, if you are constipated, and by my terms, constipated is pooping once or less a day, you need to fix that before you take charcoal. Don't go and you're pooping once a day or not even once a day and then take charcoal and be like, Dr. Smith said charcoal was good. I thought I should take it. No. Here's the reality of charcoal, folks. Charcoal soaks up bile so well that it will soak up all the bile in your intestines and make you constipated, because constipation is not enough bile to trigger a bowel movement. Diarrhea is too much bile, triggering excessively quick and loose bowel movements. So if you already lack the bile going into your intestine, it's going into your blood. That's why you've got things like hypothyroid and autoimmunity. You won't poop. If you make it worse by soaking up any bile that went into your gut, you're not going to poop even more. So those people can do charcoal externally as a poultice, as a foot soak, as a bath, as a mask. I just learned about a hemorrhoid cream that was 31% charcoal, and people are saying that it was fixing their hemorrhoids in like 1, 2, or 3 applications. Like, hemorrhoids gone. What does that mean was stuck in that blood vessel, that swollen varicose vein of a blood vessel down in their rear end? Toxic stuff. What else would a charcoal cream that's a third charcoal, what else would it be taking out of there? I don't know, maybe things like vitamin A and copper that damage collagen. So anyway, if you are buying, one of the tips I'll give you here is, if you are buying hygiene products, soap, shampoo, tooth powder, I'm going to tell you that you're going to be on a lot better step with those things if you buy stuff with charcoal in it. Yes, it can be a little messy. It does not technically stain anything. It can just be a little bit of a pain to get out, but it doesn't ever stain. But yeah, pretty much most of my products that I use these days all have charcoal in them, because at the very least, you know that the charcoal's soaking up what's ever toxic in the stuff in the product you're using first. And then once it goes on you, it can soak up the toxins that are coming out of you. Yeah, charcoal is amazing, and people are going to take what I just said and they're going to be constipated and they're going to use it. If you use enough charcoal to constipate yourself, you messed up. You didn't listen to me here with the warning. So I just wanted to say that about charcoal. If you want, my guidance on charcoal specifically, I mean, you can work with me directly via testing and consultations. You could join the Love Your Liver Network, where there's 1,400, almost 1,500 people now who have been where you are now probably and are getting out of it, and they can help with advice. Or you can try to figure it out on your own from the internet. So, on to soy. There was an interesting post. I'm going to pull up my Twitter here. Twitter's going bonkers these days ever since it has a new owner. But there was a big guy on Twitter, Alex Hormozy. He's a big business guy. And I went over. He was saying that there's no evidence that soy is bad. And so he decided to start eating soy. And he's a big, muscular guy. So I went into the research. He was saying there's no evidence of it being estrogenic. And I went, pretty sure that's not true. So I'm posting my Twitter thread here, and I'm going to go into it a bit. So just know, first of all, many people make that even the diets of their ancestors in the last, 100 years ago is what their genetics have been eating for millennia. That's a crock. Okay, if you look at what people were eating 100 years ago, like Italians think they've been eating tomatoes and eggplant forever and all this stuff. No, it was brought over from the New World in like the 1600s. So, no, that's not like the most traditional diet that Italians have always been eating. Okay? And American Italian food is not, you know, Italian food from before the 1600s. Let's put it that way. So, soy in Asian communities may not go back as far as some people might think. And soy in older Asian communities, if it was eaten, it was kind of as a side dish and it was fermented, tempeh, miso, natto, tamari, this stuff. Because what does fermenting do to it? It destroys the isoflavones, which are the phytoestrogens. Did you know that isoflavones and phytoestrogens are also polyphenols? Who do you hear advocate against polyphenols strongly every week? That'd be me. That'd be me. And just so people don't equate other beans and legumes with soy in terms of the phytoestrogen content, I can't remember from the paper I found, and I'm not going to pull it up right now, but soybeans were like 1,000 to 10,000 times higher in phytoestrogens than any other bean. Okay? Comparing soy in terms of like for the carnivore people out there, they're like, beans have phytoestrogens. Oh my God, you got to avoid them all. No, soy is on a whole nother level of phytoestrogen polyphenols. Whole like 1,000 to 10,000 times higher than other beans. Don't even be to compare them. That's why nobody else ferments other beans. It's unnecessary. So anyway, let me go over this one paper. Let me show you how they cover this up. Just in this one paper, this is just an extract from an abstract. Here we're going to quote. Well, the paper is, let me find. The paper is called Soy and Phytoestrogens, Possible Side Effects. Possible. Just wait. I haven't even done a search on soy and cholestasis or soy and bile yet, but I'll probably do that. So let's go into the quotes from it. Quote, in animals, the intake of phytoestrogens was reported to impact fertility, sexual development, and behavior. Oh, wait, I skipped the first sentence. Sorry about that, but we'll just go over this part first. In animals, the intake of phytoestrogens was reported to impact fertility. They became less fertile. It impacted their sexual development. I don't know. Is there anything going on today with children and their sexual development or their behavior acting differently, acting out of the norm? Are we seeing men act more feminized these days? So in animals, they don't, we can't have a corrupted, biased physician going, oh, that's just normal for your boy to be acting this way. See, people will make excuses for other people, but in animals, you don't have that. You can't get away with that because it's very obvious when the behaviors start. Okay, so let me go back to the line right before that. There have been only singular reports on modified gender-related behavior. Let me repeat that. Modified gender-related behavior or feminization in humans in consequence of soy consumption. So let me just tell you something. The case studies are what show the cracks in the dam. They're showing that the cracks are there. It's happening. And then we'll go to the last sentence that I'm going to take out of this, which is where they make the excuse for why they're never going to find it. Feminizing effects in humans can be subtle and identifiable only statistically in large populations. So that was them making excuses for why they're never going to look for it and why they're never going to find it, because if they did find it, it would destroy an entire industry. Let's just look this up. Soy industry billions 2022, or let's just go 2021 because that's over. Soy protein ingredients market to cross USD $12.5 billion by 2030. Global Soy Food Market Report 2021. Market reached a value of $42.1 billion in 2020. $42.1 billion. Do you know why they're never going to come out and say that soy is a problem? $42.1 billion. Gosh, do you think people would come after them with lawsuits because they have tons of money? But now they can have the scientists just go, well, we're never going to figure this out unless we do like large, long-term, large-scale population studies. And the effects are very subtle. They're very subtle. This is like vaccine injuries are very subtle. Sure they are. Not to the people they happen to. So Mr. Hormozy, who wrote a book like the $100 million offers book or something like that, he was saying, well, I'm eating soy now. Oh, man. I was like, wow. People can be brilliant in their profession and be absolute numbskulls in other professions, other areas. Absolutely. The problem is when people who get good in one area start thinking that they're an expert in every area, and they place the wrong bet. So then, if someone was going to continue to eat soy, I put this in the thread too. If someone was still determined to eat soy, what should they do? First of all, eat only fermented soy if you're going to. Miso, tempeh, natto, what's the other one? Tamari. No, not soy aminos. They're not fermented. No. You're just eating like soy juice. That's nasty. And if you're going to eat soy, make sure it's organic, and then you get to avoid all the genetic modifications. Isn't it weird that they've spent so much money genetically modifying soy? You know why soy protein came about was because they had waste from making animal feed, like cattle feed. They had to get rid of that waste. That was what they made soy protein from. And they usually process it with hexane. That's why it's so hard to find organic soy protein, because they're getting rid of all the animal feed waste that has been processed with hexane to turn it into soy protein that they can feed you to make you infertile, change your gender-related behaviors, and affect your fertility and your hormones with polyphenol phytoestrogens. And what are they saying everywhere? As Will said earlier in a comment, he said they're trying to, everywhere on YouTube, you're seeing ads and everywhere else in health, polyphenols are amazing. You should eat more of them. And there's me out here going, no, don't. Let me go here. I had a good paper here, polyphenol toxicity PubMed. I think this was the one. Risks and safety of polyphenol consumption. I want you to understand that when they talk about plant antioxidants, folks, most of the time they're talking about polyphenols. That's what they're talking about as plant antioxidants. 90% of what they're talking about are polyphenols. I want you to hear the title of this, how it starts: risks and safety of polyphenol consumption. Here's a quote. Adverse effects of polyphenols have been evaluated primarily in experimental studies. It is known, for example, that certain polyphenols may have carcinogenic genotoxic effects or may interfere with thyroid hormone biosynthesis. Isoflavones are of particular interest because of their estrogenic activity, for which beneficial as well as detrimental effects have been observed. Finally, polyphenols may interact with certain pharmaceutical agents and enhance their biological effects. What are pharmaceuticals? Generally, poisons that are getting your body to do something that it either doesn't want to do or can't do already. Polyphenols enhance another toxin. Isn't there a saying like birds of a feather flock together? Wouldn't two poisons be more synergistic than one? Do you know that toxic metals are often synergistic in their toxicity? Would we expect something that is good for you to enhance the biologic effects of a pharmaceutical? So what do they warn here? Future studies evaluating either beneficial or adverse effects should therefore include relevant forms and doses of polyphenols, and before the development of fortified foods or supplements with pharmacologic doses, safety assessments of the applied doses should be performed. Pharmacologic doses, are they giving you these as a drug? What's the most common drug almost 90% of America starts their day with? Coffee. What's coffee full of? Polyphenols. What's wine full of? Polyphenols. They give you a drug to wake you up. They give you a drug to put you to sleep. You've been deceived by bankers, by politicians, by medicine, by nutrition. People want to believe that they're not being misled by all the nutrition talking heads out there. You're being misled. They may not be smart enough to figure it out, and that's why they say it, or they may be encouraged to push you in these directions. And there's always going to be controlled opposition. Disinformation must have truth to it, folks. Disinfo has to have enough truth to it that you trust it, that then they can throw in the garbage. So then you believe the garbage because you figure if they're right on all of this, they got to be right on all of this. Or they're probably right, or maybe I'm not so sure about it, but I believe them so much on this that I'm going to believe them on this. That's disinformation. The whole antioxidant theory of health has been completely demolished. Your detox system is oxidative. If you put in plant antioxidants, you shut down your own detox. And polyphenols, let's just go find it. Let me see if I can find the paper easily. Hold on, let me do a different one. I didn't have this paper ready, but what polyphenols do is they slow down aldehyde dehydrogenase, which is one of your most important oxidative detox enzymes. Yeah, I'm not finding it right now. But one of the things we do on this program is you can't avoid all antioxidants. That would be lunacy. You can't avoid all copper. You can't avoid all vitamin A. Nobody ever said to do that. You'd be left with nothing to eat. People out there who try to do the perfect diet with nothing bad in it, end up with nothing to eat. And here's one guarantee in life. If you stop eating, you're going to get sick and die. Let's be smart here, folks. I had one guy call me. He was having an anxiety attack in the grocery store because he was coming to me from a Ray Peat background and then getting into my stuff. And then he was following other stuff on the internet. And he's like, I'm in the grocery store and there's absolutely nothing I can eat. And I said, I didn't do that. You did that by taking too many chefs ruins the soup, as they say. You follow too many people and you take too many things out of your diet and you're left with nothing, which is exactly what my program is trying to avoid for people. We're trying to figure out what people can eat and do the right concepts and principles, not protocols and fixed food lists. If one person does great on more beans and another person does better on more grains and another person does better on more animal, meat, muscle meats, eat more of those things. This should not be hard. People want it to be a recipe and like, you tell me what to eat. And I'm going, nope, that's not how this works. Not in this modern world. Not with all of when we take so many different genetic types from all around the world and we start mixing them, you have to figure out now that if you lived in the same town that your ancestors had lived in for 1,000 years before that, and everyone was genetically similar, then you could look at what everyone else was eating and doing well with and say, that is what I'm going to eat. And that's probably what I'm going to feel good on. You start mixing all these genetics from all these different parts of the world, you're going to have to figure it out yourself because who knows what genetics you got for what little thing. Okay. So let's get into, I didn't see, so just so you know, we got like 46 people here. We got 15 likes. So if you want to help this reach more people, click out of the chat if you're in it. Go and like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to be on the chat. The chat is for subscribers only. Doesn't matter how long, but you got to be a subscriber to be in the chat. And then if you're watching this video after the fact, then go like it. And if you can leave a comment, that helps. Okay. That helps. Anything you do to interact with this video helps the algos know to promote it better. Okay. So let's get into the other questions now. Oh, hey, Will. Will's always here. Will's super fan. Anyway, Mehmet asks, hi, Dr. Smith, what is the mechanism behind that undertypes need fats? Sometimes I feel bad with high soluble fiber, no fat meals, and adding fat to that meal really gets rid of those feelings. I don't want to, under and over types is a concept that I introduced in the program. I don't want to get into it too much here, but generally, I believe the mechanism is that overtypes, one of the most common ways this manifests is a tendency to gain weight when they're getting sicker. And they also tend to, when they don't feel good, they tend to want to eat, which goes along with the gaining weight. These are just tendencies. I have some people who show all the tendencies of an under, but they're overweight, and some overweight folks who show all the tendencies of the opposite. So these are tendencies. They work most of the time, but the exceptions make the rule. The exceptions don't break the rule. The exceptions make the rule. But I think it is that unders are not good at making toxin storage in their system. Overs, very good at making body fat, very good at making toxin storage areas. Unders are not good at storing toxins. So when they eat fat, which fat is your best toxin storage. Why do you think you get fatty liver? And anybody who thinks that the liver doesn't store toxins, it's okay. That's a scientifically illiterate statement. The liver stores all sorts of toxins, especially fat-soluble toxins, and this is why fatty liver is going up. You know what's stored? You know what fatty liver looks like? It looks yellow. You know what color vitamin A is? It's yellow. You know what color bile is? That hasn't sat in the gallbladder for very long? It's yellow. You know what most bitter plant toxins, what color they are? They're yellow. When you look at a piece of meat, if you just imagine this, if you were to look at the fat on a piece of meat and it was yellow, do you think that would be appetizing? Not to me. Fat is supposed to be white. So when fat starts getting yellow, do you know that there's now plastic surgeons? I have quotes from plastic surgeons saying, I know when somebody eats healthy because when they do liposuction, first of all, they're getting liposuction, they're overweight. When they get liposuction, their fat is orange. It's not good. You know that it's pretty normal for diabetics to have high carotenoids in their blood, high plant vitamin A floating around in their blood. And high carotenoids in the blood has been associated with like hypothyroidism, diabetes, hypertension, all sorts of problems. But they're eating healthy. But I think the fat that unders eat somehow gives them a better way of storing it, because if you can't pull those toxins out of your blood to put them somewhere, they stay in your blood and they affect your brain and your heart and everything else. I think the increased fat is helping them somehow, because that's how do you store vitamin A in your liver? You bind it to a free fatty acid. How do you store cholesterol in your liver? You bind it to a free fatty acid. Look up cholesterol esters. Do you know that you can make ethyl fatty acid esters? You can bind ethanol, alcohol, to a fatty acid and store it in your liver. Your liver gets rid of that really, really quick. You can store methanol in your liver. These are really toxic things. You don't want them in your liver, but it's better. You have to remember, this is a saying of mine too. The body will always choose the slow death over the quick death. So storing toxins in your system, or if you want to look on PubMed, the word is accumulate. If you're going to have toxins in your system, you want them out of the blood, because when they're in the blood, that is how they affect your heart and your brain, and that's how they kill you quickly. That's the quick death. You want to store them so that they don't kill you, because your body can't get rid of them fast enough. If our bodies were quick enough at getting rid of poisons, we wouldn't need to talk about detox at all. Okay? If they just came in and went out, none of this, people wouldn't be so sick. So anyway, I believe that's the simplistic mechanism of what I think is going on. Nobody talks about overs and unders except me, but if you go and you look at the mortality research, I believe that underweight people, their liver is in a rougher state than overweight. And everybody talks about how being overweight will shorten your lifespan, but they seem to miss the fact that in the research, the underweight people the truly underweight, die earlier than the overweight people do. But because it's such a small percentage of the population, nobody really cares about it. I believe that unders are in a worse position than overs. And that's what the research bears out. The unders are not as good at storing toxins. So where does it, if you don't store them, it stays in your blood. If it stays in your blood, it affects everything. Okay. So Simon asks how to deal. Oh, remember, if you want to super chats are enabled. That means if you want to get a question prioritized, you can drop a little contribution in there. And if you don't know how to do it, you're going to have to Google it, because I've never done it before, but it's there. So Simon asks how to deal with vertigo, severe dizziness. Any suggestions? First, so I'm not, I'm not giving medical advice here. These are things that I would think of if I were in this situation. The first thing that comes to mind, check. Oh, wait, I didn't put a key search term in there. Well, one of the first things I would say would be to get your neck checked out by a good chiropractor or some other physical medicine person who has lots of good feedback. I definitely would get your neck checked out. If you have a history of neck problems, then that's a definite. Let me just go and I was thinking one thing that popped into my head was potentially um potassium deficiency, but I'm not seeing that. Just go through a couple things here. Oh, I just saw a little. Here, let me post this. This is just so hilarious for all those copper pushers. The paper's called Copper in Medicine. First sentence. Copper has been found to be causative in several diseases. Copper has been found to be causative in several diseases. Wow. We'll continue on here. The indication of the role of copper in formation of amyloid plaques in Alzheimer's disease and the successful treatment of an Alzheimer's rodent model by copper chelation. They're pulling copper out of the mouse. Are also potentially important. Don't listen to the copper pushers, folks. Don't follow protocols or revolutions unless you want to take a bet on it. You want to bet your health on it. And then remember my name when it doesn't work out. And then come back here and I'll try to undo all the damage you've done. I will try my best to help you get rid of all that copper that you've stored in your brain and your liver. It takes a long time. I've had people run high copper on blood tests for 3 years where I couldn't get them down. All you who are worried about copper deficiency, no. You to run, the only way I see copper deficiency happen is when people overdose on zinc. So is it copper deficiency or is it zinc toxicity? The only way I see copper deficiency happen is when people overdose on zinc. Which one is it then? When I'm giving some people copper antagonists like zinc and molybdenum for 3 years and their copper is still high. And I have people who have low blood copper and they try taking copper supplements and they feel worse. Well, that doesn't make any sense now at all, does it? Just remember my name. If you want to play around with copper, you want to put that copper pistol up to your head, go ahead. I have plenty of people from those worlds who have finally seen the light and come over to my side. You can deny it all you want until finally in the back of your brain, it starts going, maybe we messed up. When you've tried to take more copper for the problems you're creating and things get worse, doubling down, tripling down, and things get worse. Doubling down, tripling down on your cod liver oil, on your eating liver, on your eating egg yolks, on your drinking raw milk, on your eating superfood plants. I'll be here. But the longer you damage yourself, the longer you store this stuff in it just means the longer that it's going to take to get it out of you. But in terms of vertigo, let me see. Let me go. Symptoms of chronic vitamin A toxicity include blurry vision or other vision changes, swelling of the bones, bone pain, poor appetite, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. Dizziness, nausea, and vomiting sounds a lot like vertigo to me. Now, you might look up. So one of the things that vitamin A does is it blocks potassium channels. I have that research in the advanced detox section of the Love Your Liver program. Um, so let's, no, that didn't come up. But there is the, if you look up the, if you were to look up benign positional vertigo exercise, there are some exercises for vertigo. Yeah, there's a bunch of images here. I'll just put the search here. I would tend to think that vertigo mainly is, I mean, it could be related to a mechanical thing in the neck, but I would also tend to think of it as a toxicity thing. So we already saw that vitamin A can cause nausea, dizziness, and vomiting. That's a big indicator. One of the things I looked up last week was that when bile goes into your stomach, folks, it can be absorbed directly into your bloodstream. Absorption of bile salts from human gastric mucosa. Bloodstream from, you know how they'll say that you can take MCTs, medium chain triglycerides, and they're a fat that you can absorb directly through your stomach and it goes right into your bloodstream. It doesn't have to go through your liver. Well, the same would apply for stuff you absorb through your stomach, like bile. If you have bile in your stomach, reflux in your stomach, I would tend to say that the best thing to quickly deal with that, and you want to deal with it quickly while it's in the nausea stage or the reflux, whatever symptoms you have from that stage, because if you don't, you're absorbing that bile right into your bloodstream. That's your cholestasis. The cholestasis is actually extrahepatic cholestasis. It's going backwards up your intestines into your stomach. And you don't have to have leaky gut in your stomach to absorb the bile right into your bloodstream. And you don't want bile in your bloodstream. It's toxic. Bile is not supposed to be in your bloodstream. Bile contains all those toxins your liver has been storing to keep you from dying. Oh, have I been over sepsis and how sepsis is associated with an excess of bile in the blood? It's weird how all these things are connected. But in terms of dealing with it, there's those exercises. I would tend to, if it were me, knowing what I know, I would probably be doing some charcoal, either in a bath or a poultice internally. And then also I'd probably be doing some form of magnesium and potassium, which I go over on the network inside the Love Your Liver program. I would be trying to put those things in. And then I'd be trying to figure out what somebody, and then we'd look at in the period before the episode in the Love Your Liver program, I go over agitators, things that cause people to dump bile. And I would be looking at what did you eat? If somebody was working with me and they came to the office hours, for example, where I do my troubleshooting for those who work with me on testing and consultation, I'd be going over what did you do in the hours before and in the day before this happened, because there's probably some trigger there. And then somebody will be like, oh yeah, I went and I exercised super hard. Well, exercise is an agitator. Oh, I went and I did the sauna. Well, heat is an agitator. Heat causes you to dump bile. Oh, I drank way too much coffee the day before. I know I shouldn't have done that. Well, there you go. Could be that. So we start looking at this is what I do. This is the troubleshooting that I do. I don't do that in the basic Love Your Liver program. I come in there, I make comments as I choose to. But if people want my distinct advice on treatment and troubleshooting, that is done in the office hours. So Ramon asks, hi, Dr. Smith, can you point out the video where you specifically go over why bile becomes toxic? Bile, I'm going to go over this quick because I've pretty much gone over why bile becomes toxic. Bile is toxic by nature. Bile is the waste product. Stuff comes into your liver. Your liver does three things. It's a filter. Anybody who says the liver is not a filter is scientifically illiterate. A filter means something that takes something out of something else. A water filter takes contaminants, toxins out of your water. What is your liver doing to your blood? It's taking stuff out of your blood. That is by definition a filter. Okay. Now, Ramon, I'm just saying it this way because I'm so amazed that all these talking heads out on the internet are like, the liver is not a filter and the liver doesn't store things. And no. The liver is absolutely a filter because it would have to filter the things out to then do the second phase of the liver, which is what I call the sewage treatment plant, or what they call it biotransformation, where the liver takes the things it filters out of the blood and it runs them through enzyme processes, the cytochrome P450 system, alcohol dehydrogenase, aldehyde dehydrogenase, all these xanthine oxidase. You have to filter it out of the blood to run it through the detox system. And then your liver is going to do one of two things after it has processed these things to some point. It's either going to store them. Now, if you want to know if the liver stores stuff, here's the magical term you use on PubMed. Accumulate. Don't look up the word store. Look up accumulate or hepatic content of something. You got to know how to search. One of the things I was blessed with was figuring out words to search with and how to find things. I was a research assistant for a nutritionist, and when I was in med school, that was one of my favorite jobs. I was just going to the U of A medical library on his behalf, and he gave me a bunch of studies to find, and so I'd get to go find them. I'd get to make copies of them. I'd read a bit of them as I went through them. That was like early on, that was a dream job for me. Searching and finding things. That's one thing I'm pretty good at. So accumulation, anybody who says the liver doesn't store things, just go use the word accumulate on PubMed. And then you'll find that the liver and the kidneys accumulate all sorts of things. So it will either store them, accumulate them, or it will put them into the bile. The bile is your liver's poop. If you think of it that way, you're not going to go wrong. Then people say, well, are you saying we don't want to make bile? No, you want to make poop and poop. You want the poop to get the hell out of you. You don't want to keep it, right? We don't want it to go out too fast because then we don't catch the things that we need, and we don't want it to not be made because we don't want it to go backwards into the system. You don't want shit to go into your system, do you? That's bile in your blood. Think of that. Bile in your blood is like getting sewage in your drinking water. Do you want that? No. Bile is not supposed to be in your blood, but it can leak in there. You know how they have boil water advisories? When things happen in different places, like, I don't know, flooding, and the sewage starts going everywhere? It's the same thing. So, by definition, here, I'm going to bring it up. So, studies on the toxicity of bile. The effects of intravenous injections of bile upon blood pressure. I found, so here, so this was 1905. This paper was 1905. Studies on the toxicity of bile. The effects of intravenous injections of bile upon blood pressure. Who published this study back in 1905? Rockefeller University Press. The Rockefellers. The same people who discovered vitamins. What was the first vitamin they discovered? Vitamin A. Are you seeing the connection now? That maybe this has been a plot for 120-ish years that they knew about this, that they're doing things and making research to make it look like you should do things that put bile into your blood. So yeah, I didn't get into this. So why would soy be bad? Well, here's an article. Liver injury, which is cholestasis. Liver injury means cholestasis. Cholestasis means toxic bile in your blood. Liver injury from phytotherapy treatment. That's herbal medicine for you folks. Phytotherapy treatment containing soy isoflavones. Oh, you mean they gave people soy isoflavones, which are soy phytoestrogens, which are soy polyphenols, and it caused liver injury? I told you I was going to go search for soy and bile. Drug-induced liver injury after soy protein supplement use. Remember when they pushed soy as the new health food? They're still doing it. Got Alex Hormozy saying there's no research connecting these things. I couldn't find it. Let's see this. Okay, here's a great one. So some of you are wondering why you might have been born jaundiced or unhealthy. Oh, I can't. It's too many letters. Here, I can't put the link there. Let's see if this will fit. Yes. Here's the paper. Maternal consumption. So mothers eating. Maternal consumption of low isoflavone soy protein isolate confers the increased predisposition to alcoholic liver injury in adult rat offspring. Mothers consuming soy protein gives an increased predisposition, a tendency towards alcoholic liver injury in their children. The sins of the father, as they say, or the sins of the mother. Women, you got to understand that what you are doing to yourselves with all your going to the other physicians and getting medications and getting jabs and eating garbage soy products and veganism and retinol creams and Retin-A and Accutane and antidepressants and birth control pills and benzos, and you are poisoning your children that aren't even born yet. I'm sorry, this is the way it is. I just got a paper showing it. There are studies on rats where they poisoned the mothers with vitamin A. They did actually give birth to the babies, and they had cases where the mouse babies were poisoned to death from the vitamin A in the mother's milk. Rodal, Rodahl. Rodal did tons of studies on animals. Why is vitamin A in breast milk if it's not a vitamin? Because it's a poison and your body puts tons of poisons into breast milk. This is very serious. I have a whole video on this channel about how vitamin A causes infertility. Do you ever wonder why Bill Gates loves vitamin A? It's bad news, folks. Why does the bile become toxic? Because it is toxic by nature. It is a waste product that may have some other functions along the way. So here's the thing with what I'm doing here. If you would like to detox your liver, that completely involves the toxic bile. So how do we do this? It's a very simple concept-based approach. The specifics are in the Love Your Liver program. We stop putting the poisons in, and most people don't have any idea what the poisons are, and they're putting more of them in every day. So we stop putting poisons in. So then you stop making the bile as toxic. Okay. Number 2, you help the body to get rid of the toxic bile it's already making. Things like charcoal, things like soluble fibers, stuff of that nature, stuff that binds to bile. Number 3, you give the body what it needs to help it get rid of what it doesn't want and protect itself against those toxins. This would be minerals. This is what I do with the blood testing and the hair mineral analysis to make sure that we get enough minerals to prevent the problems and to displace things like copper out of the liver, because that's what zinc does. Zinc displaces copper out of the liver, kicks it out, but you can kick it out too fast. So all 3 of those things I just went over can be overdone. I mean, just think, you can, a simple an example, like you want to put a screw in, right? You have a screwdriver, you're going to screw it in. You want the screw to be in the right amount. But you screw too long and too much effort, and you strip the screw. Yes, you can overdo all of this. I just told you that charcoal could constipate you. So if you're already constipated, don't do charcoal, because that would be stripping the screws. Okay? Don't do that. In the Love Your Liver Network and in my consultation and testing patients, I'm constantly slowing everybody down because everybody's stripping the screws. And if you've ever used a screwdriver with screws, you kind of have to strip the screw a little bit once or twice before you start to realize, oh, that's how much I can tighten it up before the problems begin. So you don't get to really find your limits until you test your limits. But then I'm constantly there saying, you better back off. You have decades worth of toxins in your liver. Decades worth. It's going to take you at least probably 3 or 4 years to get them all out. Can you improve all along the way? Yeah, you used to be better before you were as toxic. Think of when, if you can think back to when you took let's say a medication, like, I don't know, ladies, birth control. Maybe for some of you it was antidepressants. Maybe for some of you it was a poke. Maybe for some of you it was a crazy extreme diet. And that you can honestly say from your experience, my health was never the same after I did X. That was your main liver injury. That was when you started refluxing toxic bile into your system. That's when it all really got started. It may have been going before that. Like if you were born with jaundice, you were born with a liver injury. Too much bilirubin in your blood, bilirubin. Too much. You turned yellow. What did they do about it? They put you under a light to break down the bilirubin, and they thought that was all they needed to do. While you're still left with the liver injury. Okay? Did you get that they poisoned the mothers with soy protein, and then the babies were more prone to getting alcoholic liver injuries later in life? Ethanol's an alcohol. Hey, did you know retinol's an alcohol too? Pyridoxine's an alcohol. These things where tocopherol is an alcohol. Cholecalciferol is an alcohol. Do you actually think alcohols are vitamins? Like vital to us? Alcohols. Start digging deeper into B6 and it causes neurotoxicity. And it's an aldehyde, pyridoxal 5-phosphate. The active form is an aldehyde. Okay. Yeah, aldehydes are totally necessary for me to live. Sure. Alcohols and aldehydes. Anyway, bile is toxic by definition. It is a waste product. The very first organ that they can see when a fetus is developing are the bile ducts. That's how important getting rid of the waste is. Getting rid of the waste is the most important thing our bodies do each day. It's not about more and more vitamins and minerals. You need enough. Getting rid of the waste products, especially stored up waste from decades of living in this modern world, is much more important than throwing in more and more supplements and more superfoods. I want you to think about this. Who makes money on you buying? Is there more money to be made in what I'm talking about, detox and avoiding the industrial garbage they're selling you, or buying lots of supplements with all sorts of ingredients in them? People say, well, you sell supplements, Dr. Smith. I sell, I sell two things right now. The basic minerals, that's the keystone minerals, and lactoferrin, which helps repair the bile ducts in the literature. Lactoferrin also helps get rid of copper and excess iron and can actually help anemia of an iron deficiency. Weird. Lactoferrin must be really, really important. Maybe that's why scientists call it a miracle molecule. If you're interested in the ones that I was just talking about, that's at nutritiondetective.com under the supplements tab. Those two supplements are basically what I took over time as I did the whole detox. But those two were basically what I was taking when I did those labs that I have on this channel, where I went over my labs, where I had my testosterone almost at 900. I'm not telling people to take fistfuls of pills a day. We are repleting, when they do the testing with me, we are repleting their minerals based on testing, and we are helping them to get rid of toxic metals and other things that we don't want in their system. And then magically they get better. But anyway, there's a lot more money to be made in medications, supplements, superfoods, all this garbage. They're trying to put more and more in, when really what they need to do is get the stuff out of you. Because they'll say, well, if you're toxic, you need more of this. But what if you were less toxic? You would need less. But does that help them sell? No, it doesn't help them sell a damn thing. Okay? So, Ramon says, I read bile is not a waste product. It's absolutely a waste product. And the reason why everyone's so sick is because of that thought process. And the body allocates lots of energy to reabsorb it. The body, in your intestines, you absorb basically everything. If you think of your intestines as pretty dumb, they're not selective in what they absorb. I use and the skin too. I use topical magnesium with people all the time and topical potassium, and it works amazing. But they can also show you that if you put sunscreen on your face, they can show all those sunscreen chemicals in your blood within 24 hours. Or that they did. They did a blood test 24 hours later, and they still saw all these sunscreen chemicals that were not there before in your blood. Your skin and your guts are dumb in what they absorb. They're dumb. Maybe God didn't intend us to be exposed to so many poisonous chemicals and foods. We don't expend a lot of energy to reabsorb it. We absorb pretty much everything that is going through our guts that can be absorbed. Charcoal is not absorbed in the gut. Charcoal stays in the gut, which is good and bad. But yeah, the body is, the intestines and the skin are not intelligent with what they absorb. That is why it is so important to be careful with what you put in your mouth and what you put on your skin, especially you ladies with your cosmetics. If you are going to put it on your skin, don't put it on your skin if you wouldn't eat it, is the best rule ever about anything that you're going to put on your skin. If you wouldn't eat it, don't put it on your skin, because it's going in your bloodstream. Let's see. I was going to look here if I could see. Global topical drug delivery market to reach 147.1 billion by 2027. Global topical drug delivery market. Did you catch that that's more than 3 times as much as the soy market? Drug delivery through the skin, you don't say. The body is not choosy with what it absorbs through the skin and the gut. Does it reabsorb bile? Yes, it's called enterohepatic circulation. Those bile acids go right back up to the gut. That's why it's so hard to get rid of toxicity, is if you reabsorb 95% of your bile every day that goes down in your gut, you don't get rid of much of it. If you do a all muscle meat carnivore diet with no soluble fiber, you're probably reabsorbing 100% of your bile or 99% of your bile, and you're not detoxing at all. Your symptoms may improve because you're putting less poison in. But that enterohepatic circulation loop is just keeping everything right in there. You're not getting any of the fiber that even a standard American garbage diet would provide. And then what we do is we work on getting people the right amount and right types of soluble fiber for them, which may be very little. It could be a lot. Depends on their tolerance, depends on how well they experiment with the different types. And charcoal. Not cholestyramine. Cholestyramine is poisonous garbage. Do not take it. There is research out there showing that cholestyramine and charcoal are of equal effectiveness. And then go and look at the side effects list for cholestyramine, and then go look at the side effects list for charcoal. The only side effects I've heard, some people can take charcoal orally. Maybe they don't feel very good, so don't take it. They do it topically. But generally, the only side effect of charcoal is if you're constipated and you take it and you get worse. So what do they do when they give charcoal for like poison control and stuff like that? When they give it in the hospital, if they're giving it for a poisonous exposure type thing, they give a laxative with it. Got to make sure you poop it out. They give you a lot of charcoal, you're probably not going to poop it out. If you take even if you poop well, if you take more than you can handle, you're not going to poop for a while. So, my sales rock says, couple past episodes you had spoke about filters for the kitchen and the shower. Can you repeat the brand again? Thank you. I'm going to say this right here, right now. It seems that after more information and testing from the wonderful people in the Love Your Liver program, doing copper testing of the water and stuff like that, I had previously mentioned the Mineral Stream shower filter. I am taking that back. That was a mistake. It doesn't seem to do what I thought it did based on some early feedback I had gotten from people. So it was a cheap shower filter. It does not seem to do what I thought it did. There was some errors in the assessment process that later people figured out. This happens in science too. Just so you know, fatty liver studies used to say that there was very little that fatty liver was actually associated with a vitamin A deficiency in the liver. And then a 2014 study came out and said, "Oh wait, you guys analyzed the fat in the liver completely wrong, and there's actually a crap ton of vitamin A in the liver." So this happens. I thought the Mineral Stream shower filter was good. Apparently, it is not. My apologies. At least it doesn't cost very much. We've all made way more expensive mistakes in our health than that, including myself. So, the countertop water filter, well, the company that I like for water filters for drinking is AquaTrue, AQUATRU, AquaTrue. They make a reverse osmosis water filter that does not change the pH of the water. Many reverse osmosis water filters change the pH of the water. They make it more acidic. Many do. AquaTrue does not. And People really like the taste of the water. I love the water that comes out of that machine. So, in terms of shower filters or bath filters, I have not seen any good recommendations on it. So, if you are concerned about whatever's in your tap water, you can always get a shower filter that's a chlorine filter, like I think Aquasana makes one. It's just chlorine. It's just an activated carbon filter. Wow, why would they run water through activated carbon, which is also called charcoal? That's what most water filters are. Gosh, why wouldn't charcoal help us to grab onto toxins and contaminants in our own body, right? So, but most shower filters are just activated carbon, also known as charcoal, just packed into like ceramic or however they do it. Kind of like the Berkey stuff, right? It's a ceramic filter, but ceramic's not usually black, so I'm pretty sure they got carbon in there. Berkeys are just okay. Berkeys claim that they leave all the minerals in the water. Oops, that could be bad. You know, there's like tons of uranium in Tucson's water, tons of arsenic. You can go to Environmental Working Group, ewg.org, and look at their tap water database and see what's poisonous in your water where you live. You'll probably see lots of things. If they're showing up at all, why not take them out? It is more important to drink overly clean water than it is to drink poisonous water. Same thing with showering in it. But like I said, we're trying to figure out the shower thing. So if you know you have copper water pipes, or you know your water is toxic in other ways, first thing, try to do your baths or showers in as low a temperature as you're willing. The hotter the water, the more it pulls stuff off your pipes, like copper and other toxic stuff. Maybe you've already noticed that your hot water will often have a different smell than your cool water. Well, that's the toxins that it's pulling out. So the lower the temperature you're willing to do, the less toxins that will be in it. Okay? Then some people have taken to doing the old, toweling down shower, where you just get a wet washcloth and maybe you get some soap on it and you clean the important areas, and then you clean it off with, just a water towel, or you clean out the towel, you get all the soap out of the towel, and then you just wipe it off. You do that on the more higher priority areas for cleaning, and then maybe you take a full shower or a bath once in a while. If you're going to take a shower or a bath, generally the shorter the time you spend in it, the less toxins you're exposed to. It's just math. So, the lower the temperature you're willing to do, the better. The less time you spend in that water, the less time there is for you to absorb those poisons. And then, why am I forgetting the last one? You can get a shower water filter. And then you have the option of doing like the old, some people might call it the Irish shower, the towel shower. So you don't even have to get in the water. And then you could do the towel shower, the towel bathing with clean water. You don't even have to use tap water. You could use filtered water, distilled water, whatever. Okay? But yeah, so the mineral stream, I am never hesitant to admit when I'm wrong. And the mineral stream, just the information I got from previous was proven wrong later. I should say that. It was given to me in the best intentions and with great effort. And later on, other people repeated the experiment. Imagine that. No one's ever repeated the original vitamin A deficiency experiments in animals. Grant Genereux is hoping to do that someday, the man who introduced me to vitamin A toxicity. They want to redo the original vitamin A deficiency studies in animals to show that they were garbage. I'm very excited about hopefully being a part of that somehow, someday. But yeah, the mineral stream didn't cut it. Sorry. My Cells Rock says, what brand of charcoal do you recommend? Let me find it. Let me find it. Oh, gosh, I'm getting charcoal briquettes. That's not what I wanted. Oh, man. Okay, hold on. Let me get the link. Oh, come on. Now I got to do my phone thing. All these double notifications or authentication. Jeez, it's just an Amazon account. My goodness. There it is. Come on. Okay. Should be in now. There we go. So it is a 2.5 pound bag of hardwood charcoal. I do not, you guys may have heard me, I don't trust coconut stuff. Coconut stuff is like the newest fad, just like soy was. Remember how they were putting soy in everything? Soy this, soy that, soy everywhere. What did they do with coconut too? What do you think the next fad is? Crickets? Do you think that these big health fads that are being pushed from every angle on everybody, like they're so healthy, are good for you? When they take every single part of the coconut and they turn it into some different product and they try to shove it on you as it being the greatest thing, are they just trying to sell you more stuff? I don't use, if coconut charcoal, there's two things here. One, if you're lazy and you don't look for hardwood charcoal, well, all you're going to find is coconut charcoal because it's the cheapest. And what else are they going to do with all those wasted husks of the coconuts? What else do you think they do with all the coconuts that go moldy? They make them into products that you never knew they were moldy. Aren't they nice? Got to figure out, what was soy? Soy was the waste product from animal feed. They turned it into soy protein to sell it to you in all sorts of different ways. Coconuts, they've done the same thing. So if you're lazy and you just get coconut charcoal, I've had plenty of people who react negatively to coconut charcoal and they don't react negatively to other stuff. Could it be that there's mold in that coconut charcoal that survived the baking process? Yeah, possibly. So, hardwood charcoal. That is the brand that I use. I took some this morning, actually. And yeah, hardwood charcoal or bamboo charcoal. Those are generally what I go with. I do not. I'm able to avoid coconut charcoal entirely, so I do. Let me see if I can find even the capsules that I found. There are a couple hardwood charcoal capsules. They're not easy to find. Believe me. And I think it's funny that it's really hard to find hardwood charcoal. If I ever make my own charcoal, it's going to be hardwood charcoal. It's definitely more expensive than coconut. Let me get the other one. There's two. Yeah, see, one of them's currently unavailable. I didn't look at the other one. Probably there is a super chat. I'm going to get to that, and that'll be the last question I get to today. So that's a little primer on charcoal. Just remember, if you take so much charcoal and you make yourself constipated, don't blame me. I always advocate that if people are going to do something, they start it slowly and gently. And I already told you, if you're pooping once a day or less and you start throwing charcoal down there, you're not going to poop. So maybe we need to work on getting the bile going into your bloodstream first. I'm sorry, getting the bile going into your intestines first versus having it go back into your bloodstream, which is probably where it's going. And that's why you're not pooping. And that's why you're having hypothyroid symptoms like constipation, because the bile in your blood is affecting your thyroid. Okay. So let me find this. Let me find that super chat. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I saw it. There it was. Oh, wait, Allie, did you have a question? There it is. Wait, Allie, I can't tell if you have a question or not. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. If you have a question, I want to find it. So, yeah, I want to make sure I don't miss it. If anybody else saw it, repost it. I do see here, Allie, you said at Mary Smith Booth, my mom joined Love Your Liver program too. I went from a size 12 to a size 10. No, just a super sticker. Sorry, I'm still so new to this. I haven't even seen super stickers. I think Will must have sent one last week too, now that I think about it. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, okay, let me see. So maybe I'll get to one more question since we didn't have one there. Let's see. Oh, Will was saying I consume more charcoal than would recommend for most, and my stool is still very gross. Liver a bit more impatient than I am. LMAO. I started doing more charcoal lately, and okay, so here's the thing about overtypes that I talked about earlier. And if you want the whole rundown on them, join the Love Your Liver program. That's where I go over all this. But I believe overtypes make a lot of bile and dump a lot of bile. And what would that show up as? In me, my tendency, if I ever had a tendency in my bowels towards being constipated or loose bowels, I was absolutely loose bowels, which would tend to say there's a lot of bile in the intestines. So me doing charcoal, it's not a problem because I got plenty of bile. And now I can tell you that since I started adding more charcoal to my day, you tend to have a lot of bile in your stool, in your poop, when your poop is sticky. Like you can tell by after you flush, you can tell that it was very sticky. And it tends to be more difficult to clean up afterwards because it's sticky. And I can tell you that for me, when you get charcoal in your system and it's soaking up bile, you tend to have a noticeable green tint to there's the black of the charcoal, but there's also the green of bile, and you tend to see it getting sticky, and you notice all the other things that go along with the bile dump, except you don't feel as bad because you just soaked up all that bile in the charcoal and it's not going back into your bloodstream. I think charcoal was really one of the real big missing pieces to this whole process. And if you can figure out how to use it for you so that your bowels keep moving well, whether you're doing poultices or topical approaches, or whether you're able to take it internally and figure out how to keep your bowels moving while you take charcoal without taking toxic things to make your bowels move, I think it's really going to accelerate things. Like I said, I have a 14 or 15 article series on charcoal in the Love Your Liver program. I take it pretty seriously. It's where I debunk all the myths about charcoal and all the other garbage. So, yeah, but I got to wrap this up. I'm going to do my inner circle now, folks, over inside the Love Your Liver network, where people get to ask questions and I can give much more detailed answers and more controversial answers than I can in a place like this. For those of you who are on Twitter, I'm there as NutriDetect, NutriDetect. Go and follow me there if you like. Twitter is going crazy these days because of the new owner, and everybody's taken off their ball gags and all that stuff because they're just people aren't afraid to say what they mean on Twitter now. It's pretty cool. Don't trust the owner though. Don't trust him at all. Don't trust that guy. Never forget that Donald and Elon have always fully supported the Pokies. Never forget that. They have not denounced it. They have not said they made a mistake. They still fully support it. That is all you need to know about which side they are on. Okay? It's as simple as that. Follow actions. And they supported it. One of them wants to put a chip in your head. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Hope you all had a great time. I will see you next week. Same place, same time. Dr. Garrett Smith, the Nutrition Detective, signing out. Bye now.